So for our cross-gender project, we did an all-guys sleepover. Involved in this project was myself, Justin Valjallo, Stephen Nichols, and Todd Gamble. So here's a picture of all of us, as well as our good friend Nolan Smith up in the top right-hand corner. So what we learned, a little bit about some history that goes along with sleepovers or slumber parties. It was kind of, according to Slumber Party and the Progression of Slumber Parties by Gail Leno, it was sort of a coming of an age for teenage girls, like around 13 years old. Like, this was a huge party for them, and a big honor to be invited to their friend's house and to be included with their friends. Another thing that we learned during the war era, this was from an article by Dylan Harrison called "A Decade of Change in America." Basically, when mothers of daughters had to work during the war era, they'd have their daughters stay like with neighbors and stuff like that, and that kind of helped start like the slumber parties, so to speak. Boys did this as well, but it was definitely a little bit less frequent. But they did still do it. Most of the time, bachelor parties for guys, that involves, if somebody's been drinking, or if it's a kind of an impromptu thing. We don't necessarily call it a slumber party, but it does happen nonetheless. And some issues that we learned about that go along with slumber parties, as far as to keep it stress-free. There's an article that we read by Daisy May, which it says, be sure you have a theme to go along with a slumber party. Games to play. Make sure you get the phone number, name of parents involved, and then health issues of any kids that may be there, and as well make sure that you have enough toiletries and nice places to sleep and stuff like that. So what our first activity for the night, we're going to pick a movie to watch. So we had an assortment of typical girl movies, you could say, and we settled on Sex and the City, widescreen edition, #1. So basically there's some theories we went over as to why girls have slumber parties, not guys. We tend to think that girls are a little more guarded by their parents. They're perceived to be a little more fragile or vulnerable, susceptible to unfortunately to like violent acts, that kind of thing. It's not as physically strong as males are. And as well, we didn't think they were as interested in running around after dark and trying to sneak out and get into trouble. So boys were allowed to stay out later than girls. We all know that we were, and allowed to ride around our bikes and TP houses and do all that fun stuff. So basically, yeah. So we picked Sex and the City, and here's a clip of us enjoying that movie.
Oh, there it goes. She wears the worst dress. I love that dress. You really like the blouse? Yeah. It draws too much attention.
According to Gaps and Gains, women generally had inferior status in the patriarchal society and had expectations and restrictions placed upon them. Sleepovers would have been a great way for women to bond that did not experience the restrictions of other activities. Here we painted our nails, which is something that women often did or still do at sleepover parties. Painting nails was a way for women, and still is a way for women, to bond while embracing their femininity. It also shows how gender roles play into their leisure activities and how women view themselves and want to be viewed by others. While this is a leisure activity where women don't have to feel judged, they realize they soon will be judged. We also baked some brownies, which was probably the highlight of the night. We really enjoyed getting together to do this. According to G. Smith, women were so oppressed in their everyday life that sleepovers were a great way to cut loose together without the worries of social pressures. Baking was a great way for us to bond as friends, and would have been a good way for women in an era where these opportunities would have been limited to bond. Here's just some more of us baking these brownies. You can see that we're bonding really well and working together. Alright, we're going to show a clip.
Okay, so I think this activity, challenged the norms that we're used to. Like something normally that we do when we're with our friends would be, maybe watch sports or play video games together. So it was just doing, different activities that we're not, as used to doing. I think some of the activities in particular were, a little bit different, a little bit weird, like painting our toenails. We weren't quite exactly sure how to start that and how to use the toe separator thing to separate our toes to make it easier to paint, so it was a little bit difficult to get used to. And then the baking, all of us have baked something for ourselves individually before, but I think it kind of gave us a better insight on baking with friends and kind of bonding over in that sense. Typical things that males might do at like a party, according to slumberpartyideas.com, is like video games, board games, movies. While for girls, according to amazingmoms.com, they'd be into baking, chick flicks, gossip, truth or dare.
Brownies. That's what we cook. Bake a brownie.
Eat one of the final product. Like somebody already dipped into it.
Come on, cheers. 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 Mushroom morsel. I love baking.
Enough of the brownie.
Brownie?
That was a clip of us when we had finished the brownies and took them out and ate them. As you can see, we enjoy baking. For these activities, would we participate in them again? I think I can pretty much guarantee none of us are going to want to paint our toenails again. As far as baking, I think we probably would do that again, for ourselves individually, and I don't know, probably a time would come up where we would bake for others, so I don't see that as being too different. Chick flicks, some are watchable, some aren't. It just kind of depends on the movie, so I think in reference to that, we probably would watch some again eventually. And that is our experience doing this leisure project activity.